After sailing up the coast, the Savannah is in this position at 11:30. You will see it was determined from a 3-bearing fix. Since the ship is now quite near Chesapeake Bay entrance, the navigator shifts to this larger scale chart, transferring his 11:30 position very carefully to the new chart. Note that the soundings on this chart are in feet, not fathoms. On this chart, the dark area indicates where the water is less than 5 fathoms. On charts not marked in this fashion, or with a ship requiring more than 5 fathoms, the navigator should draw a line on the chart with a colored pencil to indicate to himself where the water becomes less than a safe depth. Shoal spots should also be encircled. Thus, he is constantly reminded to keep the ship in ample water. The Savannah has been directed to anchor in Hampton Roads in this area. From the 11:30 position, the ship will have to follow this route around Cape Henry, through Thimble Shoal Channel, and thence into Hampton Roads. The navigator is now nearing the entrance, and he has to lay out his courses to the channel. He decides to change course and head for the entrance when this buoy is abeam to port. Accordingly, he lays down his course line to the point where the buoy will be abeam, thus. And then selects a safe course to head for the channel entrance. The course as laid down is 298. Since he is approaching the restricted waters of the entrance, he now checks his position every 5 minutes, consulting the chart for landmarks which will give him good angles with the bearing of Cape Henry light. Here he finds a hotel cupola on the chart. And this is the cupola as he sees it through his glasses. If he has difficulty finding a landmark, he can pick off its approximate bearing, such as this tank bearing 247 from the 1140 DR. Now looking in the direction of the bearing, he finds the tank in his binoculars. At 1140, he obtains these bearings and plots them on the chart, then circles the fix. Note that he did not use the hotel cupola for this round of bearings. The bearing between it and the line from the tank is only 14 degrees, and Cape Henry is 29 degrees. A small error in taking the bearing of the tank or in plotting would displace the fix a greatly disproportionate amount if plotted with the cupola bearing. For this reason, the navigator always tries to have at least a 40-degree angle between his bearing lines. If he does this and his compass is well adjusted, excellent fixes such as this at 1145 can be obtained using 3 landmarks. In each case, the navigator decides beforehand what marks to use, and as one landmark becomes no longer useful, he shifts to a new one forward of the beam. At 1150, he drops the tank and shifts to the cupola. At 1155, he drops this buoy, now astern of him, and picks up this one ahead. The navigator determines the course through the channel 288. This position looks like a good one to change to the new course, and so he picks off the bearing of Cape Henry Light from this position, 233. At 1200, Cape Henry Light bears 233, and the course is changed to 288. The cupola is no longer a useful landmark, and so a new one is sought. At 1205, these bearings are recorded. Buoy 236, Cape Henry Light 159. At 1208, the speed is reduced to 12 knots, so the ship proceeds into the roads, cutting in its position frequently. Note that even in the marked channel, the navigator keeps cutting in the position of the ship frequently, which is good practice. Now that the ship has moved into more restricted waters, the navigator must find closer landmarks. At 12:55, as the Savannah clears Thimble Shoal Channel, the navigator shifts to this even larger scale chart and fixes his position by cross bearings of Thimble Shoal Light, here on the chart, and here through the binoculars, and this buoy. The most desirable way to stand into a harbor or approach an anchorage is to find two objects in line dead ahead of the ship and to steam toward the anchorage, keeping these two objects in line, or as it is commonly called, in range. This light and this light form such a range. When on the range, the navigator knows that the ship is somewhere on the line between the two landmarks extended, and he has only to take the bearing of another object somewhere near the beam in order to fix his position. The Savannah has been directed to anchor in this berth. No convenient range is available for approaching this anchorage, but this light will bear 233 when the ship is anchored. Therefore, the navigator decides to approach the anchorage on course 233, keeping this light dead ahead. The anchor will be let go when this tank bears 160 from the anchor. Observe how this good navigator has prepared his chart for anchoring. This small circle has a radius equal to the distance from the bow of the ship, where the anchor is housed, to the Pelorus on the bridge. On the Savannah, this distance is 210 feet, or 70 yards. You can readily see that if the Pelorus on the bridge is on this circle, and the bow is pointed at the center of the circle, the anchor will be at the center of the berth. So we see that instead of the tank bearing 160 on anchoring, we want it to bear along this line from the bridge, or bearing 161. This circle marked 1 has a radius of 100 yards, plus the distance from bow to bridge, or 170 yards. These other circles have radii increasing in steps by hundreds of yards. As the navigator plots the track, he frequently advises the captain how far to go to the anchorage and what course to steer. The Savannah follows along this approximate track, slowing the speed as the ship nears the anchorage. At this position, course is changed to 233, the approach course to the anchorage. The navigator points out to the captain this light and asks him to keep it dead ahead. The anchor has been ready for letting go ever since the ship came into restricted waters. Let us watch the navigator plot the bearings and listen to the orders and advice on the bridge.
Harris, get a cut. Port and starboard allies, get a cut.
Port Wool, 077.
Tank 173.
Port Wool, 077. Tank 173. "1,000 yards to go, sir. Course 233. Very well. All engines ahead 1/3.
All engines ahead 1/3, sir. All engines answer ahead 1/3, sir.
Port Wool, 074. Tank 167. "500 yards to go, sir. Course 229. Aye, aye. All engines stop. I'm left to 229.
All engines stop, sir.
Course 229, sir.
All engines answer stop, sir.
Steady on course 229, sir.
Light 233. Tank 165. "300 yards to go, sir. Course still 229. Very well.
Light 233. Tank 163.
Light 233. Tank 163. 200 yards to go, sir. Course 227. Very well. All engines back 2/3. Steady on course 227.
All engines back 2/3, sir.
Course 227, sir.
All engines answer back 2/3, sir.
Steady on course 227, sir.
Light 233. Tank 162.
Light 233. Tank 162. Mark, when tank bears 161, stand by to anchor. Stand by your starboard anchor.
Mark on the bearing.
Let's go, sir. Let go. Let go. All engines, stop.
As the chain rattles down the hawse pipe, the quartermasters are taking a round of bearings of all landmarks visible. This is the way they look to the navigator as he plots them.